Hey everybody, Hunter coming back at you again. Going to start a series of video tutorials here today on a wood graining technique that I use on a lot of my models and various parts and pieces. But to get right into this, there is some other ways to do it. One of them is a product from Plastruck. You can get this in sheets. I think it's 8 by 10 or something like that. It's basically a piece of notebook paper, or the size of a piece of notebook paper. This here is their hardwood flooring print, which is very convincing. It looks good. It has a nice, a nice overall design to it. It looks pretty realistic. I have that same material here glued to a piece of plastic. This is what it looks like. This is actually a floor to one of my condo sleepers. But if I can tilt this up here in the light and see if I can get it to pick up, but there's typical pictures, it doesn't show up. But it shows up in real life. A certain way that you look at this, you can see the glue underneath of it. And, if you're looking straight down into a sleeper, this would probably be okay. But for my builds, I can't have these type of flaws show up, because if the judges put a real big pin light on this, or basically a mag light, they're going to pick up on that, and it's a flaw, and that costs you. So this can be done. There's several different ways to apply this stuff. I've tried all of them, and the other thing that I don't really like about this once you get it down is the sheen on it. See how shiny it is? It just kind of, to me, looks fake. But it is a nice product, and it has its uses, just not in the particular setting that I was going to try it in. It just doesn't work for me on that. Another product I have here is actually from Germany, and this is a scale plywood product, and you can see the shade variations in that. Now, the Plastruck stuff that I used, this has to be glued on. This is not a decal. This stuff from Germany here is a decal. And this is one of their large plywood sheets, which is all a decal, and it's all the same texture all the way across. But if you notice one thing on this, it's like any other thing that I've noticed that's printed, you can see vertical lines in that where they repeat the pattern. And if, it's okay if you're doing something small, but if you're doing a larger area, those lines show up, and it kind of makes it look fake to me. But overall, it is a decent product, and like I say, if you're using it in a small area or like a cabinet or something like that, it would work out great. But I like to do a technique that I practiced a little bit, and it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, nothing real difficult. So I'm going to pan the camera down here, and I'll show you what we're working with, and we'll do the first part, and once that dries up, then I'll come back and do the second part of the video, and then there'll be a part 3 to finish it up. So we're going to pan the camera down here, and what we have here is just a scrap piece of plastic, 30 thousandths, and I have a selection of Tamiya paints here. The first one I have is Desert Yellow. Now what I'm going to do with this is this will actually be my base color that I put down. And I have a brown, a flat earth, and these two are going to be my shade variation colors. And then we have a clear orange and a clear red. Now the other one that I also use for wood graining technique is the clear yellow. If you're simulating like a pine finish or something like that, the clear yellow works great. If you're going to a mahogany finish, the clear red. And there's some other ones out there that can be used in the clear line. But today we are going to be doing the clear orange over top of that'll be our final coat over top of our base here when we're done. So what I've done is I have a little bit of the desert yellow base color already in my airbrush, and what we're going to do is I'm going to come in. I'm not going to do this whole panel. I'm just going to do a portion of it, And I'm going to do it right here at the hobby bench so that, you know, I don't have to get up and go over to the spray booth and all that. This is acrylic paint, so. But what you want to do is take your airbrush and you just basically want to come in and you're looking to color your entire surface with the desert yellow. And the one thing that you want to remember on this is don't try to get a real even coat. You want to make sure that you cover up, in this case, the white plastic, but you know, kind of give it a little bit of a shadow effect where you have some dark and light. And you can see as I go along here, I'm kind of, you know, just kind of stalling in one area, and that creates a little bit of a darker line. Now I'm not going to do this whole piece of plastic, I'm just going to do the top edge of it here. And you just want to keep everything random. And once you get to that point there, you know, there's a little bit of the white showing through. That's fine, you're okay with that. Because what I'll do next is, after I have that down, I'll actually turn the air pressure up a little bit, and I will come back across this and just kind of darken that up a little bit just to cover the white in a little bit better. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a base, and there's more steps to go on top of this. So that's what we have right now. You can see where it's kind of mottled there a little bit. It has some darker spots in it. Now the next thing that we're going to do is, I have a little bit of the desert yellow left in here. I actually put a little bit too much in the airbrush. I'm going to go ahead and dump that back in the bottle. And the one thing that you don't need to do with these stages here is you do not have to clean out the airbrush. Basically what I do is just put my finger over the needle and pull the trigger and drain most of it back into the bottle. And put the cap back on this one. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to go in with the color called Flat Earth, which is a little bit darker than this base color. And the reason why I don't clean the airbrush out at this stage is because you still have a little bit of the base color in there around the sides of the cup. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the Flat Earth, just a couple drops. You don't need much for this part. And we put that in there. And another thing I probably should tell you guys that want to try this is light to dark. Use your darker color or your lighter color first and work up to your darker color. Alright, now I've just pulled the trigger just to mix the paint up there a little bit. And I'll turn the pressure back down here, because what we're doing now is just doing some little lines in it. And just trying to get an effect going here. Okay. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to come in and we're just going to do some random spots here and there. Basically, you know, just creating some dots. Don't try to make a pattern. And don't try to make all of them round. You know, make some a little bit bigger than others. Make some oblong or whatever. Just don't try to keep a actual pattern going. So I've got the dots down now. Now I'll just come in and basically I'm going to try to somewhat just put some random lines in. Nothing crazy. Nothing real heavy. We're just trying to, you know, put a few lines down in it. And then I will turn the paint up a little bit and turn the pressure up a little bit and come back across that. And basically just mist the whole thing. Just like that. And the next step that we're going to do is we're going to move on to our brown, which is the darkest out of our three colors that we're going to be using to create our wood grain. And same thing, you don't need to clean the airbrush out. Just leave the residue that's in there of the color before. And we just want a little bit of the darker brown in here. Don't need much to do this, a drop or two and you're good to go. Same thing. Whoa, I got a mess going on here. A little bit too much air pressure there. Let me turn that down a little bit. Still making a mess. There we go. Now we got it mixing. Okay. That's why it's always good to have a piece of cloth down here, so when you make a mess like I just did, you got something to catch it. But what we're doing now is I'm just kind of getting a little bit of that other color out of there, out of the front of the gun here. And I've got the pressure turned up a little bit. There we go. Pressure's turned up. Now I'm just going to come in with the brown, the darker brown, and what I'm going to try to do is just basically get a dot, and then I just want to drag that dot up, or you can take and create your dot and drag it down. And you just do this random sizes. Don't try to make these all the same size, because what this is actually simulating like a knot. And you don't want to make them where they're real uniform. But just basically, you know, going in and, you know, just creating a random pattern into your base here. And I just turned the pressure up a little bit and actually turned the paint flow up a little bit just to kind of dot it a little bit more, make it a little bit more random. Now the same thing, I'm going to turn up the paint flow, and I'm going to come back across it, across the whole thing, and blend it with this color. And as far as stage 1 of our project, we are there. This is what we have right now. It kind of looks like a little bit of a dotted up brown color, and that's what you're looking for. Very random, but then again, you want the overall color, you want it to be uniform, but you want your dark and light spots to be random. So that's going to complete the first part of this tutorial. As soon as this dries up, we're going to come back in and we'll do the second part on it to show you how to put the lines in it, and then we'll do the third part of the video, which will be the final clear finish that we're going to put on it, tinted clear finish. So stay tuned for part 2 coming up here real soon. Should take me about 10 minutes to have this dry, and then I'll go ahead and make the other video, and we'll get that one up there. So as always, I thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.